This is my horror story. Whether you believe it or not is up to you, but I experienced it, and it's not made up. It happened when I was in the first year of high school, around 2012. Please read and watch until the end. I had been sleeping in my own room since the 6th grade and had never experienced anything strange or frightening. I always slept soundly and woke up feeling refreshed. However, when I turned 16 and was in the first year of high school, strange things began to happen. It all started when I suddenly woke up at exactly 2 a.m. I had no dreams. I just woke up. My eyes opened wide, and for some reason, my gaze was immediately fixed on the window of my room, which I never close. My mother never allowed me to close the window in case of a fire at night, so we wouldn't panic. This happened repeatedly for about 3 weeks. Honestly, I considered praying at night, but I was too scared to go to the bathroom to perform ablution. I ended up going back to sleep without overthinking it. In my room, there was a large mahogany desk that was quite heavy. Unfortunately, one of its drawers was a bit broken. So, every time I walked past the desk, the drawer would open due to the impact of my footsteps. One night, I woke up because I heard the creaking sound of the drawer opening. I was deeply asleep, but suddenly sat up and looked at the desk. Sure enough, the drawer was wide open, as if someone had deliberately opened it. I checked the time, and it was 2 a.m. I mustered the courage to close the drawer and went back to sleep, though I was scared and sweating. I eventually fell asleep and missed the dawn prayer because I was hard to wake up. The climax came the next night. I think this was the most terrifying part of my life. While I was sleeping soundly, I suddenly experienced sleep paralysis. I often experienced it, but never as frightening as that night. My body was stiff, I couldn't speak, and I felt like I was awake, with my eyes open, looking around. By the way, I always slept with the light on. When I looked at the window, I saw a faceless man standing at the windowsill. He had disheveled hair, was wearing a long-sleeved white shirt, and was waving his hand at me. I tried to scream for my mother and recite takbir, but I couldn't. It felt like my mouth was sealed. I tried to turn my face away so I wouldn't see the figure, but I couldn't, and I ended up crying. Eventually, I managed to scream and recite takbir. My chest was tight, as if I had just been chased by something. I was sweating and trembling. After that, the figure disappeared. I tried to sleep again, though I was restless. Unfortunately, I experienced sleep paralysis again. This time, I saw a thin black figure with long legs and a bald head climbing onto my body. I screamed and luckily was able to wake up. I decided not to sleep until dawn. The next day, I told my mother, and she simply said,
"Oh, it's just sleep paralysis. It's normal. I used to have that often when I was younger. Don't be afraid."
I felt a bit reassured and slept as usual that night. I started to think I might have just been hallucinating because I was tired. The following nights went normally, with nothing unusual happening, though I still often woke up at exactly 2 a.m. By the way, right next to my house was an empty warehouse that had been unused for years. Behind this warehouse were 2 houses. One day, when I was almost forgetting the terrifying sleep paralysis experience, I met a neighbor from one of the houses behind the warehouse. She mentioned that her daughter had fainted in the bathroom at 11 p.m. When she regained consciousness, she said she had seen a faceless man at the bathroom door with wet, disheveled hair and wearing a tattered white shirt. I was shocked. The ghost she described was exactly like the one I saw during my sleep paralysis. I told my mother, and she immediately advised me to read the Quran and short surahs before sleeping. Since then, I haven't experienced anything strange. I slept soundly until morning. A few months later, a new neighbor opened a shop right next to my house. I often chatted with her and frequently bought things from her shop. She would return to her original home in a village not far from my town every night. One day, she told me that she had tried to stay overnight in her shop. At exactly 2 a.m., she woke up and experienced sleep paralysis. She saw a faceless man just standing still near her feet. I was creeped out. It meant the faceless ghost really existed and liked to disturb people. But we all kept quiet, and I haven't been bothered since. Oh, and after a year of running the shop owner's husband saw the faceless man sitting in the shop's kitchen area on the terrace. Isn't that scary?